Well, good morning. Welcome to Las Vegas and the inaugural Elevate AEC conference. I'm delighted to kick off this event and proud to report that this is Zweig Group's largest annual conference in our firm's history. So thank you all for being here and your continued support. As we start the 20th year of hosting an annual awards event, I want to emphasize the tremendous opportunity we have to network, learn, and celebrate with some of the greatest firms and leaders who are elevating the industry. And to be on TV. Say hi to the drone back here. Over the next 2 days, we'll recognize and celebrate best firms to work for, hot firms, marketing excellence, fast growth firms, courage and leadership, top new ventures, rising stars, and trifecta winners. It really is all about you. Let's give our soon to be announced award winners a round of applause. Now, there is one award that requires you to select the winner, the Marketing Excellence People's Choice Award. As you walked into this room, I hope you noticed the large display panels in the center of the exhibit hall. I encourage you to view the entries and submit your vote for your favorite by noon tomorrow. There are score sheets and a ballot box near the entries. We'll tally the votes and award the People's Choice Award during tomorrow night's Black Tie Gala. Speaking of award ceremonies, we have two over the next 2 days. The first is our Rising Stars Luncheon, recognizing entrepreneurship and leadership. We'll confer our Rising Star and Top New Venture Awards at this ceremony held in this room during lunch today. The second ceremony is the Black Tie Gala tomorrow night, recognizing our 2019 Jerry Allen Courage and Leadership Award winner, Best Firms to Work For, Marketing Excellence winners, and the Hot Firm List. It's going to be awesome. Our reception starts at 5 p.m. outside this room in the grand ballroom foyer where you had breakfast, with cocktails followed by dinner and the awards ceremony following. You'll hear us say this several times before tomorrow night, but we need your cooperation to be on time at 5 p.m. as we have a very tight schedule to celebrate our award winners and to make it on time to the after party. Speaking of our after party, I'll start by thanking our platinum sponsor, CTA or Corporate Tax Advisors. They help AEC firms earn tax credits earmarked for design firms, just like you. This can reduce your firm's tax liability by 20 to 30%, and there are no accounting system changes required. Seriously, if you're not familiar with or even believe you may not qualify, go learn more. Most firms in this room can benefit from this incentive, and the rewards go straight to your bottom line, giving you more dollars to invest in your people and growth. Go see their session titled Congress's Definition of R&D, Why Designers Qualify for Research Tax Credit in Del Sol during our first breakout session this morning at 10:30. They generously sponsored an amazing crescendo to our event. At 8:15 tomorrow night, we will conclude the Black Tie Gala and head immediately to party buses waiting to transport our entire audience to the Mirage for the 9:30 performance of Cirque du Soleil's Beatles Love. It's going to be amazing. Thank you very much, CTA. We're fortunate to have a number of other amazing sponsors this year. You heard them recognized in the opening video. Please help me give them a round of applause to thank them as well. Seriously, we really appreciate our sponsors. As I said, when you walked in the ballroom this morning, you passed through our exhibit hall, featuring our Marketing Excellence Awards, as well as our generous conference sponsors. Be sure and visit our sponsors and learn more about their services, products, and companies. And when you do, get your exhibit hall bingo card, which is on the table in front of you, stamped at each exhibitor booth, and you'll be eligible for a drawing Friday for a free registration to Elevate AEC 2020. Show them some love and you could win. Along with our conference sponsors booths, we have a number of breakout sessions designed to appeal to your many and varied interests, and some amazing keynote presentations from Bill McConnell, Kit Miyamoto, Savage Brand, Steve Burns, and Jeff Hurt. The general sessions are all held in this room in the grand ballroom, and the breakouts are all conveniently across the hall as shown on the map that is up here on the screen. Seating is limited in these rooms, so get there early to reserve your spot. I would like to start this morning by looking at the industry through the data and stories coming from the halls of AEC firms. The reason we decided to host in Las Vegas this year was, in addition to seeing the look on LJ's Calvin Ladner's face when he opened the reveal envelope last year, yes, was how crazy this place is, and apparently they are. We all wanted you to see it before it just gets destroyed by fire and brimstone, so here we are. It's really the city of no limits, and here's some interesting facts about Las Vegas. It would take 288 years for one person to spend one night in every hotel room in Las Vegas. Can you believe that? Frederick W. Smith, the founder and CEO of FedEx, saved his company by gambling here. He took FedEx's last $5,000 to Sin City and won $27,000 while gambling on blackjack, paying for the company's $24,000 fuel bill. So, if any of you guys are on the ropes, the casino is right up the escalators. Water structures in Las Vegas, like fountains and man-made lakes, use gray water, which is recycled water from sinks, bathtubs, and showers. So for those of you that are tempted to wade in or even find yourself in a fountain, thousands of other people have already been there in the privacy of their hotel rooms. So keep that in mind. And finally, in the early 90s, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority attempted to rebrand this place as family-friendly. I came across a study because I was very curious about this. Came across a study by UNLV titled Family Friendly Las Vegas, an analysis of time and space, which explores the rise and fall of the family-friendly Las Vegas marketing era. It contains some lessons we can all learn from that we can relate to with issues that we face today in AEC. The overarching lesson here was something that we can definitely learn from in this room, and that is, don't try to be something you aren't. As Zweig Group, we're very intentional in communicating the difference in a brand refresh and a full-on rebranding to our clients. Our industry overuses the rebranding terminology and frankly over-glorifies it. So while a brand refresh is like giving your firm a fresh coat of paint, a new look, a fancy new logo, rebranding is all about tearing down everything you've built and starting again from scratch, fundamentally examining who you are. In other words, one is far more difficult or dramatic than the other. For Vegas to become family friendly, it was obviously a very dramatic and fundamental change. The research from UNLV is fascinating, quite extensive, and provides lessons we can use in our own businesses. It started with the downturn in the 80s and the belief that Vegas needed to broaden its potential clients to increase revenue. Can anyone in here identify? Trying to get into a completely different client market to make yourself more recession-proof, only to find out the client type didn't integrate well into your core competency and culture. We've seen a number of examples over this in our 30 years of working with AEC firms. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. In the Vegas scenario, the resources to employ and communicate this new image were vast. Mainstream media helped propel the image of a family-friendly Las Vegas into popular culture. In 1994, Time magazine dubbed Vegas the new all-American city. Of course, the term all-American is a loaded phrase, conjuring up images of what it means to be American, working middle class with a spouse, 2.5 kids, and a pet, and all that. In the mid-1990s, Steve Wynn said Las Vegas represents all the things in every city that America likes, right? Not everyone was buying it though, and that's where things came apart, and thus another lesson we can learn. The importance of being unified, from having a board that is unified and clear on objective to a leadership team that is clearly executing strategy, staying true to the mission and vision, to the employees that deliver the service to the clients. Everyone needs to be unified and clear on what the company is trying to do. In Vegas, not all properties worked in lockstep to reaffirm the new image. Properties like the Riviera and the Stardust maintain their adult-centered image. One casino in particular, the Tropicana, stood out as a curious outlier. The property not only maintained its adult-centered theme, but it also used a unique anti-children marketing strategy. Tropicana featured a series of advertisements in the mid-90s that actively went against a family-oriented presentation. One advertisement proclaimed, "They got strollers, we got rollers." Advertising approaches like this were a powerful foreshadowing of what was to become of the Las Vegas image. In what was called a Second reinvention, the return to adult-centered Vegas, a complete reversal began that came with vast expense, not only in marketing, but infrastructure that had to be undone as the city returned to its roots. Yet another lesson for us to consider as how we logically evolve our firms. Investing in the right new clients, markets, and services, taking smart, calculated risk, not departing completely from who we are unless absolutely necessary. In 2003, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority debuted a new marketing campaign called "What Happens Here Stays Here," which morphed into the iconic saying, "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas." And that's where we are today, folks. So welcome to the city that has everything you can imagine. With all that Vegas has to offer, I simply ask that you stick with us over the next 2 days. I promise you won't regret it. Then on Friday night, we'll hit the Strip for our after party and your crazy self can be unleashed. In the meantime, if you're feeling lucky, use one of those breaks to hit the resort casino, which is up those escalators on the other side of this wall. As I get started, with many notable changes this year at Zweig Group, I figured a trip down memory lane is warranted. Growth has always been a Zweig Group mantra since its founding in 1988. Driving evolution and business performance of AEC firms continues to this day as the heart of our mission. 20 years ago, Zweig Group created the Hot Firm Conference, originally inspired by the Inc. 500 list and conference. And Hot Firm quickly became the AEC industry's iconic growth and awards conference. Over the years, the conference has evolved along with the company. As Zweig Group expanded our national awards program, so did the options for conferences that focused on numerous individual awards. Attending my first Hot Firm conference in Miami 6 years ago, I was impressed with the opportunity to improve the event by combining all of the award winners into one larger conference. The best practices shared, new relationships formed, and symbiotic celebrations seemed like a tremendous benefit of this new approach. Well, the numbers certainly reinforce this. Significant growth over the past 5 years is a testament to the power of collaboration and celebration. So here we are at Zweig Group's largest AEC awards conference in history. So let's make history. Last year, we unveiled our new mission, Elevate the Industry. For us at Zweig Group, it was a logical and a bit of a magical evolution. This is not just a marketing mantra, it's a real sense of mission for us. Over the past year, we've called it a mission of missions, bringing the industry together to promote, diversify, educate, change, and celebrate this awesome profession we dedicated our lives to. Renaming this conference to Elevate AEC reinforces the greater value of bringing together the greatest leaders and firms in the industry. There really is no other gathering of this type and size with the demographic of the firms we have here today. The networking and educational value we have over the next 2 days provides a tremendous opportunity for us to elevate ourselves, our firm, and this industry together. Beyond this expanded conference, I'd like to share a picture of the industry through the advancements in this important mission, aligning with the 5 tenets of the Elevate the Industry mission. I'll start with the first tenet, which is promote. This aspect of the mission aims to increase awareness of the profession. This started with a call to action last year at our conference where I asked you to partner with us to bring more positive exposure of what AEC does to the world, starting in your own firms. I'm pleased to report that many of you answered that call. We saw a surge in investment in social media activity dedicated to promoting the profession and making an impact on the communities where you do business. Firms and organizations like FX Collaborative, KSA Cares, Terracon Foundation, Miyamoto Relief, FHA, CWA, and so many others that we cannot list have increased their impact on the communities and the profession. There are many others in this room who are also doing incredible things. So please let us know at Zweig Group. We want to help you push your message out, reaching more current and potential workers for the AEC industry. Our partnership with the Society for Marketing Professional Services, SMPS, is another way we're forming alliances that promote the industry. With a mission, business transformed through marketing leadership, and a commitment to advocate for, educate, and connect leaders in the building industry, SMPS is a logical partner for us to support as we look to empower marketing professionals in AEC. One way we are doing this is through our managing principal and CMO, Doug Parker, starting a 3-year presidency term on the S&PS Society Board of Directors. And we are proud that S&PS's Deputy CEO, Tina Myers, is with us at the conference and here today. Our commitment to S&PS also supports our research over the decades, showing that investment in marketing and marketing staff is one of the top 3 investments a firm can make to drive growth and success. Diversify. This tenet of the mission aims to increase diversity of the profession, a critical strategy for closing the growing labor shortage. We must do better at recruiting and retaining the best and brightest talent across all genders and ethnicities. Much of our work in this area over the past year has been centered around the development of our Elevate program. Founded by our managing principal, Jamie Claire Kaiser, this program is taking off and very well may become one of the most iconic and transformational movements the industry has seen. I can report that the energy and support building around this is unbelievable. This is truly a unifying movement, and Jamie Claire will share more in her opening talk tomorrow morning, as well as present a call to action. Men and women from all areas of the profession are standing united, inspired by this movement. Educate. Aiming to unite industry and education, this tenet of the mission has tremendous opportunity. STEAM and STEM programs are gaining ground in a lot of communities, but there is still a tremendous amount of work to do to reach the millions of other children, bringing architecture, engineering, surveying, and the rest of the profession to life for America's youth. I was invited to attend ASCE's Educational Summit in Dallas earlier this year, and it was great to see how higher education is evolving. I was, however, impressed with how few industry representatives were present, reinforcing we have a lot of work to do. We are currently working with several universities to form partnerships where we hope to facilitate a stronger higher ed and industry connection. And then change. Not surprisingly, this is one of the most challenging areas. Change can be tough for this industry. This aspect of the Elevate the Industry mission really aims to elevate the funding and support of infrastructure and development. Beyond the lip service in the political arena, we need more fight in the game. From stronger protection of qualification-based selection to improving fee structures, we need stronger support across the board so we can pay the higher salaries and compete with other industries that are stealing away our technical and design talent. Affecting real change means we work together to combat the so-called commoditization of the industry and change the conversation, turning the economic challenge on its head. Partnerships with professional societies, advocacy groups, and our talks around the country are just some of the ways we're trying to make an impact here. This year we hired Marcy Thompson as our Chief Learning Officer. She came to us from S&PS and brings a great expertise in this area, as well as gives us a presence in Washington, D.C., where she is located. And actually, before I move on, I would like to recognize Marcy. So Marcy, where are you? There's Marcy right there. Marcy is the brains behind this event. I'm confident you'll notice the elevated experience over the next 2 days. Both she and Olivia Thomas, our marketing and events coordinator. Olivia, where are you? There's Olivia back there. Please give them both a round of applause. Both of them have worked tirelessly for weeks, all hours of the day, to prepare for this event, them and the rest of the Zweig Group team. So thank you for doing that to all of our team. Now that you know them, please know that they are eager to provide a great experience. So if you have any questions, please let them know. Another very interesting example of progress in this area of the mission is shown through a recently formed partnership with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, a world icon. The Port Authority is providing training through Zweig Group's training programs to the AEC firms they contract with. Currently in the pilot stage, this is an exciting program where the client invests in training for their AEC providers, strengthening their partnership and committing to a deeper relationship where both entities benefit. I see this as an awesome example of a major organization valuing what all of us do in this room for our expertise, not as a commodity. And finally, celebrate. One of the reasons we're here in Vegas. Whether you are an award winner or not, we have the opportunity to celebrate excellence, learning from the best and brightest of the industry. Last year, I challenged you to look for every opportunity in your firms to recognize your teams, individuals, and even your clients, and you responded. All of the awards programs did enjoy a tremendous surge in entries, providing over 500,000 additional data points on everything from growth approaches, workplace practices, and marketing tactics. I'll share some of those in a moment. An important item to note here is that we see our part in elevating the industry, including a significant role in pushing the industry. After all, that's what elevating is, increasing the reference standard so everyone works harder to achieve more. As such, we increased the difficulty in winning an award this year across most of the programs. To cite a few examples, in Best Firms to Work For, we increased the minimum score to reach award status, and we will actually continue to do that each year. In our Marketing Excellence Awards, we significantly elevated and expanded the judges panel, which was made up primarily of S&PS fellows, highly accomplished marketers from across the U.S. We've seen tremendous evolution and elevation in the quality of marketing in the industry. During the breaks, again, go check out the marketing displays in the exhibit hall. This is where we show off what we do. This is where we elevate the industry. Now let's take a look at the industry through the data. To paint a picture of 2019, I'm going to share information from our recent industry research with an emphasis on the vast amount of data points we get from our awards programs. We collect over 2.3 million industry data points annually on the AEC industry, and that number is always growing. I'm going to focus on Marketing Excellence Award winners, the Hot Firm List, and Best Firms to Work For. I believe this perspective is most relevant to those of you in this room because this is your data compared to the industry. Let's start with a focus on marketing. If you've heard me speak before, you've heard me say this, and it never changes. In our 30 years of doing research, combined with the experience of working directly with AEC firms, one thing really stands out. Marketing drives performance, and specifically, marketing excellence drives results. It drives growth by helping you win more work. It helps create a great place to work. Simply put, marketing paints the picture of the firm and can make the desired outcome a reality. Now, with these facts, it is unfortunate that some firms see marketing simply as an overhead expense. One thing is clear from our Marketing Excellence Award winners, or MEA winners as I'm going to reference them in this talk. They believe in and invest in the power of marketing. At Zweig Group, decades of research shows that marketing is one of those top 3 investments you can make to drive growth in an AEC firm, as evidenced by these 2 pie charts right here. The first is how many firms were fast growth firms in the MEA set, and the second is all other firms. And you can see here, fast growth is defined as firms that grew 20% or more over the past 3 years. So 47% of MEA winners were fast growth firms versus just 27% of the overall sample set. So that's almost double, reinforcing how marketing excellence drives growth. According to our data, marketing also drives profit, and the results here are quite dramatic. 67% of MEA winners were highly profitable, which means they maintained a 15% or higher profit margin for 3 or more years versus just 59% of all other firms. Again, more evidence that marketing investment drives overall firm performance. When I was looking at the data sets, this stat stood out to me because it reveals a capability of marketing staff that I think many firms overlook. 97% of MEA winners use their marketing staff to train their internal teams. Okay? High-performing firms also had this practice in varying degrees higher than average performing firms. It's important for leaders to empower marketing to provide the maximum benefit to the organization versus being quarantined to the ivory tower to churn out proposals. Marketing excellence winners, they believe in marketing and are intentional with their investing strategy. 97% of MEA winners will spend more this year versus last year, reinforcing a strong belief in return on investment when it comes to marketing. What are MEA winners' greatest challenges? We do an open response question, and they cite their greatest challenges as staff involvement, market awareness and expansion, and marketing strategies. Not surprisingly, especially number 1, firms are having a greater difficulty in getting staff out of the office to market the services. Staff involvement in developing relationships and keeping the pipeline full of work is absolutely critical. Yet the data suggests we are actually doing a progressively worse job of this. Why is this? Everyone's busy, right? This is a good thing. But you must stay focused on increasing marketing and business development activities, especially when you're busy. While focusing on all areas of the business is critical for long-term success, being busy certainly has its advantages and translates directly to the data in the hot firm list. After strong growth in the 3-year revenues of hot firms, up from 2014, we had a 3-year period of slight decline and cooling off, as shown in the first graph. Fortunately, growth came back last year and continued at an even higher pace this year. This chart represents the first half of the hot firm equation, showing the average growth in gross revenue dollars of the hot firm list for 2019 over the previous 3 years. It also includes data from the hot firm winners from 2010 to 2018, just for comparison purposes. The second half of the hot firm equation is shown on this next graph, showing the percentage growth of firms on the hot firm list, with the average being 81%. For comparison purposes, we show the top 10 hot firms and the average growth of the industry or of all other firms to demonstrate the dramatic differences. This next chart shows the way the 2019 hot firm list grew during the previous 3 years compared to the top 10. Note the significant difference with 8 out of the 10 using M&A as their growth strategy. So, want to move to the top of the list? Talk to Jamie Claire Kaiser or Noah Hunt. The next chart shows that hot firms are also more efficient with their people, shown by the difference in gross revenue per FTE, or full-time employee, of hot firm versus all other firms. One of the stats that's been awesome to see over the years is the historic highs of return on equity. Being an owner in an AEC firm has never been better, per the data. The chart shows how the hot firms compare to all other firms, fast growth firms, and high profit firms. This data is a nice reward for firm owners that took a beating during the last recession. The next metric is a great metric to track because it's much harder for individuals to manipulate than either utilization or effective multiplier. A revenue factor is your net service revenue divided by your total labor. Different from gross revenue, net service revenue is gross revenue minus subconsultants. As you can see here, hot firms along with fast growth firms and high profit firms outperform the overall market significantly. As a helpful tip, this is a much better health indicator of the team, department, or organization being measured. And finally, looking at job creation, hot firms added 100 people on average over the past 3 years. Overall, another good year for the hot firm winners. Now, moving on to the final and largest data set of our 3 awards programs, let's look at best firms to work for in North America. Now, while hot firms give us a look at the industry from the outside, best firms data tends to give us a look inside firms and what motivates and inspires employees. And when I say data, we get a lot of data. This is the largest employee survey in the AEC industry with over 14,000 responses, yielding a wealth of data. Looking at the sample set overall, there's very little change in the demographics of the participants. We've been ticking down about 1% per year. We were at 71, 29, and then now we're down to 68, 32. Split of males to females in both firms. Now, not surprisingly and encouragingly, the split greatly varies by age group, as demonstrated by this graph, showing stronger concentration of females in the younger groups. The challenge is how to keep them in the industry. Our Elevate Her program is one area where you can get involved, and again, you'll find out more tomorrow morning. Looking at the age groups, generational differences, and specifically millennials, that's always of high interest, particularly with the C-suite and groups like this. Now, although I think we believe every generation probably worries about the generations that follow, it's undeniable that there are differences in people and cultures as society evolves. As such, this year, we looked at the best firms data and divided it into 2 age groups, 18 to 45 and 45 and older. The data does indicate striking gaps between these 2 groups. This first graphic shows where the younger age group was least satisfied, while the older group was most satisfied on these exact topics. Now, none of this may be surprising to you, but it should remind management that they too were probably concerned about these issues when they were younger and should focus resources here as a retention strategy. Now, it gets more interesting when we reverse the scores and look at where the younger groups rated firms highest compared to where the older groups rated their firms lowest. Number one may not be a surprise. Younger staff really do care about their reviews, so management should definitely take them seriously. Many firms are having a problem with this right now. Why? Well, in many cases, firms are busy and reviews often don't get the priority needed. This can be a major demotivator for your people, as staff development is the most important issue among surveyed staff. I guess number two might suggest that we get worse at managing relationships as we age. Not sure I can argue with that. Number three, related to number one, making this issue extremely important for you to manage carefully, investing the time and resources needed to perform well here with your employees. Keeping your stars depends on it. Number 4 and 5 are especially interesting to me. Why the quality perception is in the top 5 of most agreed upon issues should be concerning. Client experience is critical to keep your firm resilient. So having a clear understanding of how you are serving your clients from their perspective and how and where you can improve is extremely important. And all levels of the organization have got to be unified and clear on this. Next, we separated the data from males and females, noting the top 5 areas where scores were most divergent one way or the other. Number 1 and 2 were both rated highest by females and lowest by males, interestingly, suggesting females get the firm and its place in the industry, as well as better understand the firm's overall strategy through the vision, mission, values, and objectives. Probably another convincing example as to why recruiting and retaining females in the industry is a critical business strategy. They get it. Number 3 through 5 are the opposite, where females rank the firm's lowest on the same issues and males ranked highest. So over the next couple of days, we've got a number of breakout sessions that provide a platform for more discussion on these and other important topics. Moving on to other hot topics, like flexible policies. This next graph shows how best firms are dealing with telecommuting and flex time. Now, every time I present this data set, I have to provide my warning. Flexible policies can be good, and they can make your firm a better place to work. However, you must be careful that you design these in such a way that it does not erode performance or client service. Another area where short-term gains could cause long-term problems. Now, what is the one issue that binds all firms together? Communication, or lack of. Communication is the number one issue that employees are the least satisfied with in every firm across the board. Best firms to work for, worst firms to work for, doesn't matter. There's not an award for that, by the way. Maybe there should be. One of the best strategies you can employ to earn points here is what we call open book management. As evidenced by this next stat, 80% of best firms are sharing revenue data with all employees on some frequency, as shown on the pie chart. Now, this is one of the best ways to bring up your internal communication performance, as employees highly value financial transparency. It's important to note that best firms are outperforming the industry average by a magnitude of nearly 4, as only 22% of all other firms share revenue data with all employees. Now, in my opinion, this makes open book management a slam dunk strategy to make your firm a better place to work and to avoid the next chart, turnover in best firms to work for. Firms with 200 or more employees have seen the highest turnover rate in the last fiscal year, and you can see the breakdown by firm size. The overall turnover rate for all firms industry-wide is 22.1%, considerably higher than what best firms to work for are experiencing. So one thing we've got to recognize is that not all turnover is bad, right? We need to constantly evaluate our staff, getting rid of non-performers and toxic employees. You've probably heard me say this before too, but it's very important. Unfortunately, with the market so tight, many firms are tolerating underperformers at a record level, right? Because recruiting has risen to the #1 challenge facing AEC firms, we avoid firing the duds. So, got news for you, underperformers and toxic employees do more damage to your culture and bottom line than they could ever make up by working on your projects. They are a threat to your star performers and your clients, your culture, and even your brand long term. We've got a real problem dealing with these challenges right now. To conclude, with training and development being the #1 benefit and the strategy for recruitment and retention, here are a couple of stats comparing best firms' data to the rest of our data. When asked, does your firm offer tuition reimbursement, 73% of best firms offer this benefit versus 66% of other firms. But it's books and supplies where best firms really stood out, with 57% of best firms offering this benefit and only 35% of other firms. This is where the commitment to training and development is really seen as going above and beyond other firms. Zooming back out, these programs paint a clear picture of how excellence, growth, and great workplaces are generated. It's a strong data set, and combined with the remainder of our 20-plus surveys on other firm topics, indicators do show the industry is still providing the highest return on equity in our history of doing research. Therefore, keep investing in your firms and your people. Now, when looking ahead, more uncertainty is probably a certainty, but this does not mean take your foot off the gas. Much of this data paints a strong picture, but the reality is that all data looks back. Now, there are warning signs out there, like the recent drop in the Architectural Buildings Index, and there's others out there. But to be prepared for whatever is ahead for you, you need to watch your own data, compare it with industry benchmarks, and stay highly attuned to your business. That means committing more attention to your clients and your employees. I'll leave you with some overall thoughts based on the data, our experience, and some of those stories we're hearing from the halls of your offices today. The first is balance your focus on the short-term and long-term needs of your firm. It's such an important balance, and the indicators increasingly show many firms are mired in the short term right now. We see it in the data, we hear it in the seminars, we see it on the faces of firm leaders. Being busy is great, but when it brings our focus in at the expense of looking far ahead, preparing for the long-term picture erodes, and then, we become underprepared. For those who have a strategic plan, make sure you execute your plan and update it on a regular basis. Don't let the busyness of the day-to-day distract you from this critical function, especially considering the uncertain economic indicators. For those of you who don't have a plan, now is a good time to develop one. The plans we help firms develop typically take about 90 to 120 days to complete. So right now, we're all in the perfect window to start now and have a plan ready to implement in 2020. If you have any questions or would like some resources, Phil Kyle, our Director of Strategy, is here throughout the conference. Go see him. Interesting data point, firms that have a strategic plan are 12% more profitable, so that should be enough to convince you to make this a priority. Next, keep your foot on the gas. When firms are extremely busy, what do they do less of? Marketing and business development. Many indicators are showing that we're not investing in the functions critical for driving growth right now. One indicator I pay a lot of attention to is the ratio of marketing staff to total staff. After climbing for several years out of the recession, this ratio has dropped for the last 3 years, with this year dropping from 1 per 33 down to 1 per 38. This means we're not adding marketing staff to keep up with the growth. I've said this to a number of audiences, and I'll say it here. Be careful that you don't create your own internal recession because you're not keeping your foot on the marketing and business development pedal. We see it in the stats and we hear it in the firms. This is one of the reasons we acquired Ignite and Jen Newman this year. She brings a depth of expertise in marketing and business development training, giving us tremendous bandwidth to help your firms develop more businesses. And let me tell you, the audiences love her. Like, she'll have the most introverted engineer like me dancing on the tables by the end of the day. It's incredible. And thirdly, maintain strong focus on employee and client experience. The importance of driving growth to create opportunity and to drive culture to enhance employee experience has never been greater. With recruiting and retention being the #1 challenge facing firm leaders today, we must focus more resources on what staff values most: training and development. This is the #1 benefit ranked by AEC staff. So commit to a unique and extraordinary training approach to elevate your staff. Because happy employees means happy clients, which leads me to my other and very important side of this equation. Keep client experience in sharp focus at all times. The stats here support everything I've said today. The busy dynamic in firms is eroding some relationships and thus business development potential with your clients. For 3 years, we've seen client satisfaction scores in the areas of responsiveness and accessibility drop. Okay, those are studies of your clients. This is what they are saying about the AEC firms they employ. Never have we been more empowered to be responsive and accessible, for better or worse, thanks to those cell phones we carry everywhere. To get this competitive advantage, you must know where you stand. Regular client satisfaction surveys should be a part of your client experience plan. Then, more importantly, you must make changes based on the data. Surveying your clients and not making noticeable and measurable changes will put you in a worse position. Our organization, along with others here like Client Savvy, can help you develop a strategy that guides your client interaction. In fact, all of the sponsors investing in this event can help you in some aspect of improving your business. For the firm that can really set themselves apart in employee and client experience, they earn a competitive advantage that will carry them through good times and bad. So what are the takeaways? Despite the awesome reality that you are among the best performing firms in the AEC industry, let's use this time to assess and see where we can improve. Everyone in this room can go back to the office and focus on any or all of these things to effect positive change. There's an opportunity before us to elevate our staff and our firms by taking the knowledge we'll get here over the next 2 days and putting it into practice. Before I close, I want to thank each and every one of you in this room for your support. We could not do what we love to do without you. Thank you for being here today to support us, your firms, and the industry. Together we can advance this profession. Together we can elevate this industry.